From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. Let's go ahead and jump into our first topic in hand, and that's going to be the Monday Night Football preview, and we got ourselves a very good matchup tonight. We have a 3.5-point spread going to the visiting 49ers tonight, and then also we have a very I would say kind of a fair over-under tonight of 43.5 as well, too. But from what I'm seeing in this game, I got some notes on the game as well, too. There's a lot of things working out. There's a lot of – these teams are very even on paper, in all honesty. Now, the 49ers are not good on the road. They're 2-3 against the spread and straight up. And then as a favorite on the road, they're not on the road as a favorite, but as a favorite this year, they're 8-3 straight up, 7-4 against the spread. And then when it comes down to the over and under in total, they've went under in 7 out of their 13 games. And then they've went under in 3 times in their 5 road games this year. So San Francisco is trying to stay ahead of Seattle. Seattle is trying to stay in the playoffs. So who needs this win a little bit more? Seattle needs this win more. Seattle against the spread and straight up at home, they're 3-3, so they're even in that regard. But as an underdog this year, they're one of the better teams in the NFL against the spread and straight up. Most of their wins have came as an underdog, and that's 5 of them out of the 8 times that they've been a dog, so making their record 5-3. Now, the over and under, they have went over in 8 of their 13 games. Now, when it comes to over and unders at home, they are even in that category. Now, the way I saw it on NFL Bet Exchange is that Seattle, since they're in more of a position to really lose a big portion of their year or fall back just a little bit, they need to win this game, and they need to win this game. That's all that's pretty much the mantra for them today. It won't be the end of their season if they lose, but they'll be further behind the 8 ball, and they don't want to do that. So I like the Seahawks tonight with the +3. I like the Seahawks with the +150. I like them as a straight up winner tonight, and I think that should work out. And I think the under is a great play here as well. And then if you just want to be cute, you can go ahead and try for the trifecta tonight and try to get the 3 for 1 and throw in the +3.5 as well too, and see if you can go ahead and sweep the board with that situation right there. I also feel like the defense will show up for the Seahawks tonight as well too, because they're not dealing with Jimmy G, they're not dealing with Trey, they're dealing with Purdy, and Purdy is going to have to really show me what he's all about on the road, not just winning games at home and you got things comfortable with your run game and your defense. All right, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but this should be a good one tonight. 49ers, Seahawks. I know everybody's going to be looking forward to it. It will be on, and this is a Thursday night as well too. So let me flip that up real quick. Just a little busy today, so I'm kind of in a hurry. So there it is, the Thursday night football preview. So there it is. Let's move on and let's talk about last night. Last night, UCLA absolutely dominated Maryland. UCLA sends a loud message to their future conference, blowing out Maryland 87-60. But in reality, they are 1-1 against the conference, but they played on a neutral court against another ranked team, which was Illinois. And that game they should have won because they were up 10 at the half. So UCLA is showing who they really are this year, a dominant force. Now, when you have players that have been there for the last for pretty much their whole college career, where they don't leave the school. Since we got all these new guys that just come to the school, then they leave the school, a year later. No, UCLA doesn't have it like that. UCLA has 3 senior leaders in Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell, and also in Jalen Clark, and then they also have a great leader off the bench in David Singleton. So this team are a bunch of veterans, and that's what you want when you're chasing that national title as well too. They have everything working for them in the right way. And it was crazy because Kevin Nwaba was in the play last night, and he didn't even score, but he was able to get some rebounds and everything last night. But I saw some players that I think will be very good for the Lakers, not for the Lakers, but for the Bruins. And that's Mackie Teen. Mackie Teen, I know he didn't do much last night. He's coming back from a knee injury, but he looked really good. And he looks like if he gets a couple more touches, he'll be really good for UCLA moving forward. I think that he can be a primetime player for UCLA. Jalen Clark led all scorers last night with 19 points. He's finally healthy enough to really show off who he really is. Amari Bailey, a freshman that I'm kind of high on right now. He struggled a little bit last night, but he had an all-around pretty good. He contributed pretty well to the big win last night. He only scored 4 points, but he still contributed big to it. But I think that David Singleton was my player of the game last night. He had 4 or 5 threes. He had 18 points, and he shot 70% from the field. And he supplied that extra oof because they have 4 players in double digits last night as well too. But he was probably the most significant player other than Bona, who only missed 1 shot last night. And he dropped 14, got 7 rebounds as well too. Got a little foul trouble, but it was okay because UCLA had already taken care of their business last night. So we'll see how it goes. And it's good. And it was good to see Will McClendon play, get some time last night as well too. Will McClendon was a guy that they were very high on when he came to UCLA last year, but he actually hurt his leg, so he's a red shirt this year as well too. So actually, no, he's actually a true freshman. I'm very sorry about that. So with that, UCLA goes ahead, takes care of their business, has a good night, and they win that game 87-60. And UCLA moves on to their next game. Maryland just struggled. Maryland really was bad in that game last night in the first half. They were much better in the second half, but they absolutely were dreadful in the first half. They couldn't score anything. UCLA was playing great defense last night, so they really put them in a rough spot last night, and they still won the rebound battle. But the thing that made the difference was UCLA turned over the ball 3 times. Maryland turned over the ball 16. That's it right there. And 13 steals, the 1 steal. Oh my goodness, Maryland is going to get ripped in the film room when their coach gets a hold of them. So we'll see how this one goes, but UCLA does their job, and it looked great. It looked good. This team looks like a top 10 team in the nation, and they'll probably be back in the top 10 very shortly as well, too. Let's go ahead and jump into the Bahamas Bowl, and I had to use the old Tecmo Bowl graphic for this one. It's pretty cool. I liked it, so I had to take advantage and throw it up here. So we got the Bahamas Bowl preview, and Miami is 6-6. You got UAB 6-6 as well, too. You got a 10.5-point spread, and that's actually moved up to 11. You got an over-under of 45 as well, too. Now, when I have my notes for Miami of Ohio, they're 5-7 against the spread. They're 2-2 straight up and against the spread versus non-conference opponents. And then when it comes down to the over-under here, they have went under in 9 out of the 12 games they played this year. And in versus non-conference, in those 4 games, they went under 3 times. So Miami is a team that doesn't bend or break. They haven't really had a game where they got absolutely one-sided by any team this season either, but they still are in for a tough task because this might be the toughest team that they played in the last 2 months, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Because the MAC is a real even conference, and I say that a lot, but, the MAC is very even, and, these games can work in different ways. You know what I mean? So, you can't take it. You can't take it as seriously as you want to. But they've played in a lot of close games, and they've won their last 3 out of 4. So they are coming in here a little hot. So it should be a good game from the Bahamas Bowl, and I know a lot of people will probably be excited about this one too. It's crazy because usually we start with the Boca Raton Bowl, but they're down in the Bahamas this year. All right, so there it is, Miami of Ohio, UAB. UAB coming into the game. Their coach has moved on. They're now bringing in Trent Dilfer as their head coach. Now they're 4-8 against the spread this year. They're 2-2 against the spread and straight up versus non-conference. And then when it comes down to the over/under, they've split in all 12 of their games, so 6 on each side. And then versus non-conference as well, over/under, the same as Miami of Ohio. They went under in 3 out of 4 of those games. So, pretty much they're very even on paper. UAB is a big favorite, though, because UAB knows how to really shut you down and figure out ways to just absolutely crush you. And I think I think we're in the right place. And I know it sounds crazy because the team is only 4-8 against the spread. Both of them have losing records against the spread, but I think UAB will be able to take care of our business. I'll show you guys my bets for this game when we get to Talkin Tickets. All right, so let's move forward and jump into our next topic, and that's going to be the Cure Bowl. The Cure Bowl is a way better game because the Cure Bowl features San Antonio, 11-2, and they're number 25 in the nation, going against Troy, who's number 24 in the nation, and they're 11-2 as well too. So these are two teams in the mid majors that are absolutely crushing it this year, and you really do. Much props to San Antonio. They've came a long way from a team that I think won one game a few years back. And they always were kind of a pushover for a while there in the Conference USA as they were getting acclimated to that conference, because you have to remember they did come from the Southland. So pretty much they have made the transition, and they've made the transition very well. And from what I'm seeing here, this team has been absolutely dominant since starting the season off 1-2. They have not lost a game since that point. They've won 10 in a row. So this team is feeling themselves. They're feeling good about themselves as well too. So, that's things that you have to look at when it comes down to UTSA. And they're coming into this game same 2-2 versus 2-2 against the spread, straight up versus non-conference. Also, when it comes to the spread, they're 7-6 this season. And then when it comes to the over/under, they've went over in 8 of those 13 games that they played. And then versus non-conference on the over/under, every one of those games have went over. So they got 4 overs to 0 unders. So UTSA is looking to score some points in this game. Now, Troy comes into the game feeling themselves as well too, because they're 10-3 against the spread, and they have the same situation, another team that's won 10 in a row. So this game is, man, and it's huge. And then you got 2-2 versus non-conference against the spread, but they're 3-1 straight up versus non-conference as well too. Now, when it comes down to the over/under, they've went under in 7 out of their 13 games, and versus non-conference, they are split at 2. So when it comes down to this one, I do like Troy to be the winner of this game. It's a toughie, but Troy, I think, has the better defense here. And I don't think that UTSA has dealt with a defense as good as Troy. We can kind of remove who they played to start the season because those teams were Power 5 schools. But other than those teams, they haven't played teams that a team like this with a defense that can keep them in check. And I think that's exactly what happens here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's my pick for the Cure Bowl is going to be Troy. And I have more picks for you guys as we get to Talkin Tickets. So we move forward and we jump into our UCI Santa Clara game. And this will be a fun one tonight. You got Santa Clara coming in here with a very good record of 9-3. But let me make sure I have that correct for you guys. They are 9-3 coming into this game, while you do have a UC Irvine team coming into this game with a pretty good record as well too. They're 7-3 on the year. Now UCI is representing the Big West, and then you have the West Coast Conference represented by the Santa Clara. Now, when it comes down to Irvine won their last game against South Dakota, but they just came off of 2 back-to-back losses against Mountain West teams. One at San Diego State, and Fresno State came to visit, so they've lost both of those games, but they do have a good win on the resume this year. They beat Oregon, who's now the number 21 team in the nation. They beat them 69-56. So this team it's a good team, but this is going to be a tough matchup for them tonight because Santa Clara plays really good at home, and Santa Clara has actually won their last 4 out of 6 games as well, 5 out of 6 games as well too. After starting the season 3-2, they've gotten it all together, but they might not have the same type of resume coming into the game like UCI. Their biggest win on here to me would probably be, you look at it, what's their biggest win? Their biggest win probably to me will probably be Wyoming, and they beat DePaul as well too. They beat DePaul, and DePaul was a tournament game that they played, a non-conference. Yes, it was. That was when they were in the Bahamas. So yeah, they did pretty. And then they lost to UCF in the Bahamas as well too. So, but they only lost that game by 7. But I think Santa Clara has enough to beat them tonight, and I truly feel like they will get this one. So I like Santa Clara, the home team in this spot. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first break of the show. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and talk about some NBA, my favorite sport. I like the way the ball dribbles up and down the court. So you guys stay tuned, and we'll be right back. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. It is what it is at the end of the day. And man, I'm telling you, this is a, pretty formful night in a sense in the NBA, but we got games still to talk about. So, let's go ahead and jump into our first game, which is going to be the Rockets and the Heat tonight. The Rockets and the Heat. Fun one. It's a fun one. We have, the Rockets, who are playing pretty good basketball right now. They went ahead and got themselves a good win the other night. And they've been playing pretty good this month as well, too. So, they're trying to get some changes going on over there with old Houston. So hopefully they can, you know what I mean? I look at this and I say, okay, we got the Rocket, we got the Heat, and the Heat won the other night, beating the Thunder. They beat the Thunder by 2 points as well too. They're 4-3 on the month in the month of December as well. And this is a pretty good game for them to build on. Because this is a little bit of a Texas two-step. Even though they do have tomorrow off, they play San Antonio Saturday night, and that will wrap up their 4-game road trip as well too. So Miami's looking to get healthy, to get them some wins, because they're still under 500. 14-15 is not too bad though. But when I look at my notes for this one, we have the Heat coming in here 5-9 on the road, 6-6 versus the West, 12-8 as a favorite this year. Now, when it comes to the spread, they're 6-8 on the road, and they are 3-9 against the West when it comes to the spread. And when it comes to the being a favorite, they're 5-14-1 as a favorite this year. So yeah, this team is not really good as a favorite. It's just they can win straight up, but they can't cover. It's crazy. Now, they went over in 15 out of their 29 games, and then they've went under in 9 out of their 14 road games. The Rockets right now, 6-5 at home. They're coming off a very good win the other night against the Suns, who they've beaten twice this month. And this team is actually 4-2 at the moment for this month, and they're riding a 2-game winning streak as well too, beating both Milwaukee and Phoenix coming into this game. So they're going to probably be a heavy look tonight for a lot of bettors. And they are 9-17 straight up as an underdog. They're 4-4 straight up versus the East. And then they're 14-12-1 against the spread for the season, one of the top 5 teams in that category as well too. And then against the spread at home, they're 7-3-1 in their 11 games. And then against the spread as a dog, they're 14-11-1. So that's crazy. This team's been a dog 26 times this year. And then when it comes to playing the Eastern Conference against the spread, they're 6-2. So, you know, they got some good mojo going against the East this year. And then they did go under in 14 out of their 27 games, and they went under in 6 out of their 11 home games. So when I look at this one, I said to myself, you got to go ahead and just circle up the Rockets here to cover. Maybe not to win the game, but to cover, that's another thing. I think that exactly happens. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And that's going to be the Heat and the Rockets for you. Now, let's move on to our next game, which is going to be the game of the night between the Bucks and the Grizzlies. Bucks coming in here 20-7, while you got the Grizzlies who are 18-9. The Grizzlies are a low favorite. They were 1.5 when the line opened up, but now this team has jumped into being a 2.5 point favorite at home. And it's understandable as well too, because you have a Bucks team that's coming in here, you know, going through the motions a little bit. You know, they've been, even though they've won the last 5 out of 6 and they are 6-2 this month, you know, it is something that you still got to look at, because Memphis is a really, really good team. And the Bucks just can't come in here slouching and things like that. So we all know how that goes. But I kind of ran out of time because I got to do some things. So I don't have a great amount of notes on this. But I can go ahead and I know exactly where they're standing at. The Bucks playing really good basketball at this moment. And they probably play the best defense in basketball as well too. And this is a really tricky spot for the Grizzlies, because they come in here winners of they're 6-0 this month, okay? And they've actually won their last 8 out of 10 as well, and they're trying to get back into that number 1 spot in the Western Conference as well. But this is a toughie. You know what I mean? They got a good win against Atlanta the other night. They beat them by 25 points. Now Milwaukee comes in here, and Milwaukee is seen as probably the best team in the league, not named the Celtics. But there's people that feel like they're better than the Celtics. The Celtics just have a better record. And when you have who they call the best player in basketball in Giannis, then you put yourself in a position to go ahead and really be able to, you know, control your own destiny. But I still think that when it all comes down to it, this is a toss-up game, so it's tough to pick a winner here. So I really do like the over in this spot, because this is what these games usually present: a whole lot of scoring, a whole lot of showcasing. So we'll see how this one goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but this should be another really good game between these two really good teams. So we move forward from there. Let's go ahead and jump into the Pelicans and the Sun and the Jazz. This was the game that we already reviewed this game a few nights ago, because it was one of our only games on Tuesday nights. And once again, they fall into the category of being a part of this is some of the only games for the night. So pretty much this one right here is they ended a nice little streak that the Pelicans were on. And now it looks like, you know, they're trying to get all the way back. They had won 5 in a row, but they suffered their first loss of the month. And that was their first loss in about 2 weeks as well too, because they had won 7 in a row going into that game. Now, Utah is a different type of beast. You know, Utah is very fickle in a sense. This team is only is 9-10 now. You know what I mean? Because the team started off really, really good to start the year. Okay. And now they are sitting at a pretty good record right now, 16-14, but they started the year off 6-2. So when you look at that, they started off the year 6-2. So they've won 10 games and they lost 12. since that point. So Utah is starting to regress a little bit, but they're still a really good home team. So this is a very good, fun game tonight. You do have the original New Orleans franchise, which was the Jazz. That's why their name is the Jazz. And then you have the Pelicans. And I always wondered why they never asked for the Jazz name back. And I was like, but I guess Utah, they have some Jazz in Utah as well, too. That's what they told me. So you do have a very good game tonight. And I feel like what we do here is we play the over in this spot, 231. And actually, I said over for the Bucks game is actually going to be the under for that game when you guys see it on the ticket. And that's where I want to go, is on the under. Sorry about that. I was thinking more about this game. But Pelicans at Jazz, 16-14, 18-9. Should be a really good game. Over under. I really do like where we're going in this spot. And, yeah, scoreboard watching galore here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the final game of the night in the NBA, and that's going to be the Suns and the Clippers, who have became a little quiet rivalry as well, too. So you have Chris Paul coming in against his former team. And I know that there's some excitement in LA about that. And then Kawhi possibly could play tonight as well, too. But we'll still have to see. That's a game time decision. It's not because he's hurt or anything. It's because they want to make sure they don't get him hurt. But the Suns, as I said several times this month, they are struggling, and struggling mightily as well, too. They've lost their last 6 out of 7 games, including 5 in a row. This is very uncharacteristic of this Phoenix team, but that's just how it is in December sometimes. Chris Paul has just got back, and he hasn't really been that big of a help. This team has actually only been in close in one of these losses as well, too. That was the loss to New Orleans on Sunday when they lost by 5. The rest of these games, other than the one win they have against San Antonio, they've been blown way out, been blown out bad, too. Like, literally, that was the first game they didn't give up 120 or better in a loss this month. So they're not playing good basketball at the moment, and they're going to have to be better. That's just simple as and simple as, all right? So pretty much there it is, 16-12 to the Suns. Then you have the Clippers, who are 17-3, and they're actually playing probably the best ball of the season right now for themselves, because they've been able to lock it up, and they've actually been able to score. The Clippers were the worst scoring team in the NBA. They started off the month losing their first 3 out of 4 games. They've won their last 3 in a row and bettered their record to 4-3 right now. So they're looking to get some get back against this Phoenix team, because I think they did play early in the season. Yes, they did. Phoenix went ahead and beat them by 17 at Staples as well, too. And that was a part of a 4-game losing streak the Clippers were on as well, too. But now they're back into the mix. They've won 3 in a row coming into this one. And as I said before, Phoenix has lost 5 in a row. So last night I tried to take on the Clippers with the Wolves, who have been struggling as well, too, thinking that the Wolves were going to be able to get themselves a nice little dog win last night, and they wound up not doing that, because I actually had the Wolves as a client play last night. So tonight, since it's a back-to-back, and I truly do feel like the Suns are the better team here, they just kind of going through the motions right now. I think that they have a bounce-back win tonight against the Clipper team that probably isn't going to take them as strongly as they usually should, because they're coming in here losing 5 in a row. So they're thinking that they're still going to be probably weak. And I think last night they were let off the hook a little bit because Minnesota just started not scoring. So pretty much I like the Suns to win this game tonight. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But once again, this is a 50-50 game, just like every game tonight. The odds makers have not made this easy on any better tonight, especially in the Grizzlies and Jazz game where you don't even have a favorite. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and this should be okay. We got a slight dog money on the Suns as well tonight. So let's see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Clippers and Suns should be a fun one tonight. All right, so let's jump into your favorite subject, my favorite subject, Talkin Tickets. And where do we go first? We go to the Bahama Bowl first. Okay, Bahama Bowl, I'm gambling. I know I am, but I'm going to take UAB with the 11, okay? And then when we come down to the over-under, I know that it's only 45 points, but I feel like we're going to smash that 45 points tomorrow morning. I love the over 222 and a half for the first half. And usually the Bahamas Bowl does call for a lot of scoring. Now, when it comes down to the first quarter, I'm going to give Miami of Ohio their props. I think that they start off with a good start in the game because usually both teams are firing in the first quarter, and both teams usually score on the first drive in the first quarter as well, too. I've noticed that in a lot of bowl games. So we'll see how this one shapes up, but the +3 on Miami of Ohio first quarter should be good. And then we have UAB over 31 team total in this game as well, too. I feel like they're going to really wreck shop. Even though Miami of Ohio has not let teams score all over them this year, I think tomorrow is going to be a different type of situation. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. We have the Cure Bowl. The Cure Bowl is going to be we're going to take Troy there with the -125, and then we have Troy for the first half as well too with the half a point, and then also I'm going to take them in the take the over 10.5 in the first quarter as well. I feel like both teams will probably get themselves touchdowns to start the game off, but when it comes down to the better defense here, it's going to be Troy, and Troy does know how to go ahead and lock it up and just frustrate you. So I think that they're going to keep a high-flying, high-scoring UTSA team under 26.5 points in that game. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but that's going to be our Cure Bowl bets right there. Now we move forward, and we have ourselves the PrimeTime PK6 with the 47-1. Now we have Middle Tennessee State playing tonight. I like the way that this one shapes up for Middle Tennessee State. I'm taking them with the 5.5. You have Lehigh traveling to Madison tonight to play Wisconsin. I'm taking them with the +23. My Patriot League. I love the Patriot League too. I can't wait till Patriot League Mondays. Oh boy, Patriot League Mondays, y'all. Y'all got to understand how I am about this college basketball. We are going to start back Hoops 101 on Fridays as well too, to go into the big Saturdays and talk about, what's been going on during the week and everything like that. But it's to get you prepared for Saturday in general, just pretty much point blank. I'm bringing back Hoops 101. I hope you guys are excited, but it's going to be a strictly college basketball show. It's going to be all about college basketball. We're not going to insert the NBA into it. We're just going to talk college hoops. All right, so we have that coming back. But we got Wagner. Wagner's in a spot tonight with Stony Brook. You can go either way here, but I think Wagner is going to be much better. I like them with the -6. You got McNeese State going against Nicholls State tonight. I like the +13.5 in that spot. And then we already talked about Santa Clara, who's a part of the CBB game of the day. I have them with the -140 for you tonight. And then we finish up with the home team, Oregon State tonight, who are in a pretty much a toss-em-up game as well too, but they are a Pac-12 team in this spot, so you got to take them. So I'm taking them with the +105, and they should be good money for us tonight as well too. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the NBA Thursday pick 4, which is 13-1. I gave you guys the Rockets +4. You guys can dog them up tonight as well too. That could be a strong bet for you as well. Then we have the under 227 with the Bucks and the Grizzlies tonight. And then I'm going to play the over 232 with the Pels and the Jazz tonight as well too. And then we wrap up with the Suns money line +105. And that's where we're going with that. And then we go ahead and we finish up with Monday Night Football. I told you guys that I do like the Seahawks money line +150 tonight. Also love the Seahawks first half +2.5. And then we have the under 7.5 first quarter. And then also we have ourselves the 49ers under 23.5 team total. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Should be a good one from Seattle tonight. I look forward to it. Seattle and San Francisco always give us great theater as well too. Don't expect a lot of points to be scored because it's always a defensive struggle with both of these teams, but we should see some pretty fun plays tonight. And this is one of the better games that we're getting for Thursday Night Football as well too. So not too much of a one side like most of them have been. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you guys are the absolute best. And pretty much with that, this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And this is the Premier Sports Betting Show. And we will be back to you tomorrow. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.